Hello, everybody, and welcome to our special event of today. It is one of the pre-events of our upcoming show, which is called the Wisdom Factory, and it will begin in September. With our show, we intend to inspire you to check out what integral could mean for you and to connect you with people to join you on your path into unexpected clarity about yourself and about the world. I'm Heidi Hörnlein, or Adelheid Hörnlein. I'm an integral practitioner for almost 20 years now, and my work, my relationship work, my voice work, and all the other fields I'm in, they're deeply inspired by the integral worldview. I'm the founder of Paradiso Integrale. This is our home here in Italy, a retreat center, and it is also a virtual space where we do events like this one today. And we support people in their growing up and in their waking up. I'm here with my beloved husband, Mark, and he will introduce himself.
That was her beloved husband. Believe that. Okay. And I'm Mark Davenport, and I've been living and working with Heidi for the past 2 years. My official background is in teaching and also in drug and alcohol counseling. But for the past 9 years or so, I have been officially retired. And this has given me a chance to dive deeply into integral things for the excitement of it and for the personal inspiration of the work. And I have been very happy to be working alongside and supporting Heidi in her efforts here, especially with this magic medium of Google+.
Yes. Thank you for your introduction. The title of our show today is How Integral Changes Everything. And for that, we are here with Scott Marshall. You heard him laugh already. Yes. He is an integral practitioner. He is a meditator and a runner and a musician and an artist. And he has created this wonderful banner you see on the event page. And he will tell us about his way into integral and how it changed his life. So welcome, Scott.
Oh, thank you very much. So I've been excited all morning just to be on the show, and even yesterday. So I've just been building up the energy, excitement. Welcome everybody who's on the call, and I'm excited to talk about my story and to share my experience. So I just can't wait.
So go on, begin.
Yeah, I feel your excitement and your energy.
Very good. Okay, here we go. I am new to integral. I've been studying integral theory, practicing the integral life practice for 6 years. In the beginning, I kind of found Ken Wilber's material like on a far corner of the internet. Through a page that I clicked on, and then I heard a dialogue with him and somebody else, and it really inspired me. And for the first time, I felt like this guy, he thinks like I think, and that definitely resonated, as everybody says, resonated with me on such a profound level that I just kept on searching and trying to find who this guy was. And of course, there's a lot on YouTube to look at, and if people are interested, there's all kinds of material with Ken Wilber on YouTube to look at. And of course, through what you guys are doing, there's all kinds of talk about the integral theory, the integral model. So anyway, what's so cool about it for me was that it made sense of development, that there was an evolutionary, bent to his way of talking about it, and to the whole model itself has a kind of it explains consciousness, and it explains how people are a part of a whole, and there's an inside and an outside, and So that really, really intrigued me, and in my work I've always been interested in that kind of a thing. So in my work as an artist, you kind of see the world objective. You see it as an object, but you also see it as a subject. And so that whole relationship of dynamic between subject and object is really a whole part of that work. And I may be getting ahead of myself, but I mean, it was very inspiring to see and listen to all these talks. And if people go to integrallife.com, they can get all that information. It's an information overwhelm, overload. You know, you get you can spend hours and hours and hours and hours. Of course, I have spent hours and hours with it. And,
I think we all have. I think we all have. And what is I think everybody who came to Ken Wilber's theory came by a moment like yours. You know, there was something we said, oh, there is somebody who is giving words to what I feel, what I always think, but at least to me and other people told me, I didn't have the words to explain it. And he is explaining it to us.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Absolutely. What an astonishing achievement it really is. The whole his whole body of work is amazing, and now he's coming out with his newer work, which is also very interesting to me. And the fourth turning of Buddhism, and that there's been a kind of a developmental arc with Buddhism, and so it's just fascinating that he's healthy and that he continues to write, and what a fascinating mind he is to just inspire so many of us. And I know he's not a guru, but there's just he's got such a marvelous enthusiasm when he speaks, and he's very articulate. And so that it was very transformative for me to hear him talking with other people, that there were other people out there that wanted to include everything, to integrate their lives, wanted to have an integral life practice. Of course, there's a lot of material to read too, and of course I'm an avid reader of the material and consume that regularly. I mean, there's just so much. It's just so much. It's a lot of head, but it's also a lot of heart. People always say, well, it's too heady, but there is a lot of heart behind the inspiration of that work. And it's just for people that are sensitive to something like that, they can really kind of tap in and resonate on that particular level, that there's like a draw or a magnetism somehow, and the human race is drawn or magnetized toward more and greater wholeness. And that's just beautiful.
Yeah, it is. I think originally most people who are attracted to the theory are the little more head-oriented people, you know.
Like us, yeah.
Like us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's good so. And I had the period of 10 years at least, only theory and understanding, and and then there came the necessity, this may be my feminine part, who said it's too much theory, and now we try to bring it back into life. And that's what I did, for instance, with the German group, German Feminine Consciousness Field, with Monika Frühwirth, with whom I had a talk yesterday. And that's what I want to do also with these hangouts, because the Wisdom Factory will have different subcategories. Some will be theory, some will be health and well-being, some will be art and music, and you know, all different aspects of life will be there. And so we can give the possibility to people to learn about integral without needing to read through the very big books.
Yeah, so many pages in those books. Yeah, and
you a little bit. How was the first impact? What was happened? What was the difference before and after your contact?
I think that I'm 33, and so 6 years ago I had I was reading a lot of Eckhart Tolle and a lot of I went through The Secret. I was interested in in New Age type paradigm. And that's how I think I discovered through my just kind of like my enthusiasm about it, but never really felt like that kind of thinking was embracing enough, and all of a sudden when I discovered that work, it was like I came home. A lot of people feel that, I think, when they come to that particular kind of work, the integral theory, and just listening to other people speak it, they really start to fly at their altitude, so to speak, to fly at their level that they're already at. And so I think that's, I was kind of like coming into, like as they say in integral theory, second tier type of cognitive development, at least, and then the rest of me kind of just unfolded. And I just can't describe to you without getting really kind of metaphorical. It was like a flowering. It was like an emotional. It was deeply emotional for me. I'm an emotional kind of guy, so it was satisfying and deeply enriching, and it just kind of, in a way, became almost like an obsession, but in the healthy sense, where you're very interested in having it kind of drive you, and more to listen to, and more to integrate into your own life. And of course, you got your own little unique flavor of your own particular viewpoint. So it was nice to listen to somebody who's so, and still is very nice to, but somebody who's so evolved, as I had imagined it to be, somebody so evolved like that. And then for me to have my own little piece of the puzzle is just, it's just like I matter. So I can't describe to you the satisfaction of that kind of homecoming. You matter. Your particular way of doing, thinking, being, it has that morphic resonance, so you vibrate at that particular level, and that matters. And you're literally helping carve out that groove, that cosmic groove of that level of development. That second tier is really trying to get to that 10%, man.
The magic 10%.
Yeah, magic.
Yes.
Would you like to tell? There might be people who have no idea what it means, second tier. Would you like to talk a little bit about that, and maybe even describe your development through the stages? Maybe you have some examples which you could name.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
I think if you call up that graphic, it might be helpful too to discuss that.
Second, yeah. You can begin to talk, and then
sure. And you will call it up. Thank you. Here it is. Very good. So here we have I like this because it's very simple to look at. And you go up the lighthouse here. So people get more and more and more developed as you go up, and more and more and more inclusive. So greater care, compassion, love, enthusiasm, depth and span. So I mean, you move up, everybody starts at square one, so that's beige there, and that's everyone gets to start at the bottom of the ladder, so to speak, and you climb up, you go up, and you go to purple, and then you go to red and blue and orange and green. And of course, those are all what is known as first tier. Stages like 1 to 6, so to speak, here are all kind of first tier stages. And I was talking about second tier, which is 7 and 8 and 9. So those are what is known as a monumental leap in meaning. So Claire Graves talked about these stages. These happen to be from Spiral Dynamics, these colors. And of course, any developmental model has been tested like this. So, I mean, there are ways to find out people's levels of development using testing and so on and so forth. So,
yeah, can you talk about yourself?
Sure.
you remember what you were thinking and believing in the different stages? I mean, beige is when you were born. Probably you won't remember so really very much.
Yeah, I don't. I think I was pretty well into green in college. So I had kind of went into postmodern green egalitarian in college, and so I was 20, 21, and I thought everything kind of became a postmodern situation for me, that there was no hierarchy. But something strange began to happen toward the end of college, where I started to meditate a lot more in college, and I felt that my consciousness was expanding. And what had happened was, I think, I didn't know it at the time, but I was like exit green, moving into yellow there, second tier. And then after college, I got involved in special education, and I started to realize how important it was to have a hierarchy for children, that not necessarily one that controlled them, but one that helped them grow. And that if you take out the growth of it, then it wasn't helpful for children. When I went into that field, I wanted children to be free, and because that's where I was. What children need, though, is to have structure, and to develop, they need that structure. And so that was quite an experience for me, which I think helped me grow as I helped them grow. And it's still, to this day, I'm still involved in special needs children field, the education field, and I work at an alternative school that does that kind of a thing. So it had come on, as they say in an integral community, second tier came online for me probably when I was 24, 25. And then kind of really developed.
I'm jealous, damn it. Really 60-something.
Yeah.
What I would like to add is this is a particular aspect of second tier from the first 6 stages, that we think everybody should be like us. So
Yes.
when you are in the green stage and libertarian, you think your children should be free at all, like you are. And you describe it very well. When children are grown up without going through these stages, they have a great problem. We are creating psychopaths.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And if it's really a damaging situation to not honor what humanity has already gone through, up to get to this point where we have such a thing as the internet. And the internet is a profound transformative tool that I think is affecting us in all kinds of different ways, and especially with children, because I recently saw a video, maybe you guys have seen this video, where there's an infant on an iPad, touching the screen and operating the iPad, and I just said to myself, well, there's something to this technology really, starting younger and younger and younger and younger with children, where they can just automatically interface. That's like an amazing thing. So I think children will definitely need to have the growth aspect of a hierarchy or a structure maintained, and it's really up to us, especially as you develop, to really kind of breathe life and your energy where it needs to go in that kind of case. I'm a little bit all over the place when I talk about it, but I'm very passionate about that children have their needs met, and when everything's just kind of like you want children to be free, you don't honor the fact that they need to first kind of have rules and then break free from rules.
Something to get free from.
Yeah. You got to go through something to get free from. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yep.
I bring up again here the stages of development. So what we need, and what we green people try to avoid, is the authoritarian, which is here blue stage of development. We don't want to set boundaries. But when you say, for instance, that little children already begin to go all over the place with the iPad, they need to have a structure to, they get overwhelmed of all the things, you know. They don't know what is real, what is not real. So this is, I think, the task of you educators, to give them a structure, give them orientation, and don't let them alone and say, oh, you can choose what you want. They don't know what they want.
You have to kind of grow into a democracy, a kind of a place, you know. And children are very lucky to grow up in a kind of in that postmodern world where we have all the world's information like right in front of us, and it takes, I think, it takes compassion and love to help children navigate through all that, all the world's information, all the world's religion, all the world's good stuff, and all the world's bad stuff. And it's and to navigate that experience is really up to I think adults and other you know, professionals to help children kind of grow into a healthier expression, you know, or a healthier adult who can navigate the good and the bad of life, and all the in between. And
so that means that we adults first need to do that for ourselves, no? Grow up and sort it out and get not lost in the cyberspace or wherever in the possibilities, but get a direction for our lives and be an example for how to structure their own life.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, this call is about how it changes, how integral theory or integral consciousness changes everything. And it changes everything because you begin to see that there's a place for everything. And there's a place for all of the development that has come before an integral development, and there's a place for what comes after. So there's a evolutionary force that I can only describe in my experience as love, that really pushes people to become more and more embracing of themselves, and starting from themselves and then to the world. So I mean, like, you got to kind of clean up inside and grow up in your own experience, and then that there's a natural unfoldment that, in my case, is true for me, and I think for most people that come to Integral, there's this natural unfoldment where they recognize how valuable that particular kind of consciousness is to the world. And maybe there isn't a lot of money in it yet, but there's certainly a lot of love and compassion and ability to really kind of work with the world that is never before been seen. And so that changes everything. I mean, if development isn't a part of humanity, then it really would be very, very sad, wouldn't it? And if you add development into humanity, we kind of grow up into the image and likeness of God, as you know, as the Creator kind of gave to us, you know. So so it's just amazing. It changes everything on that fundamental level, and at the same time continues to change you.
Psychoactive, as Ken says. It is psychoactive. When you once are in, you cannot go out anymore. You are really sort of, how you say, drunk.
Yeah. In a way,
you become intoxicated with the movement of that particular kind of development in your own being, and therefore you're automatically, because a person is only a part of other people, so you become automatically connected in a way that you've never been before. Connected, yeah. Yep.
This is touching me very directly these days. Actually, you mentioned a while ago that Ken has sort of described a spot where each of us are, you know, a different little cosmic address that we have.
Right.
You know, and in my understanding of Integral and growing into it and spending time with it, coming to understand that I do have an address, and that contains everything that I have been up to this point, you know, and everything that I have been is just fine, even though I didn't know it at the time. But it's an ability to love every part of me, the ones that I threw away and disowned and didn't want any part of, you know, the red gangster, you know, the blue religious bigot, you know, all of those things, you know, that was just fine for the moment, for then, inevitable and lovable and valuable, and there is no higher without the lower, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you take away the higher and you still have the lower. You take away the lower, you've got nothing.
Yeah. I like what you're saying, Mark. You're talking about how there's different marks before the one that you're talking with now. There's different selves before the self that you have, and it's amazing that we're allowed to be able to grow and into different versions of ourselves, to newer and newer, more refined, more inclusive, more loving, and consider older versions of ourselves in a positive light, and can see the good in the older versions. Yeah.
Not only the good, but the necessary.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I like that better because then you're including all of the data. You know, it's not. I like to think in an optimist kind of a term, but life includes both the pain and pleasure, and you get more and more comfortable in pain and pleasure with these newer and more loving versions of yourself. So you get a spectrum of life that you could tolerate more and love more and actually, you know, work with. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And move from the pain to the pleasure much more gracefully.
Yes.
And not try anymore to avoid the pain, you know, not try anymore to go only to the good, because the only good just doesn't exist, you know.
Yeah.
You get comfortable with the whole life because you can begin to see it, you know. This is what you said. It's higher levels of love, yes, and compassion, yes, but also higher level of understanding. You have more perspectives on the world. It's not black and white anymore, and not even 5 colors, but it's thousands of colors. And
it's just amazing. Yeah.
Like your lower third, no? It has so many spectrum colors, so many little variations, and
it's
that's
the rainbow
what life
on
has.
acid.
Yeah, and actually, nothing is better or worse. It's just, you know, what it is, and you come to this understanding that even the difficult moments in life, and we have them all the time, but they have a sense, and we have means to overcome them in a let's say in a better way. I wanted to share with you when I first read Up from Eden. This is one, I think, Wilber too, the phase of his second phase of his work, where he explained the development of humanity, and when we came into the red, into the ego part of humanity, I began to understand that, because that was where our history was about, and you know. And I was especially taken by his explanation why women were suppressed in patriarchy. Because so far I was angry with men, and I thought they were my enemies and the bad guys. You know? And women would be the good guy, the good
guys.
The good guys.
Women are the good guys.
I really believe that, and I think many women still do, and at least have done it. The women's liberation movement, they believe that we women are suppressed by the power and the bad will of men, but it's just not so. And how he explained that, it was like how do you say, when the curtain falls down and you begin to see and to understand so many things where you didn't understand before. Why is it so? Why is it so? And you torture your mind, you know, and then he tells you, and you say, Ah, that's why, and you don't have to fight anymore.
You
Well,
mean
yeah.
men we're not clever enough, smart enough, strong enough to just wake up one morning and decide, let's subjugate women. That sounds like a great.
No. We have collaborated.
Oh, we agreed on this arrangement somehow.
Yeah,
Yeah. Wow.
that's funny. Yes, well, that's a really cool thing that Heidi that happened for you, where you saw women's in a sense women's suffering from a whole different perspective, and that's another thing about this kind of a philosophy, is that you can take on more perspectives, even ones that you don't agree with, and let them all kind of mash around in your head and heart, and then you have some kind of interesting synthesis from that, and it's just amazing the power of change and the power that perspectives allow. Because I really wanted to honor what you said, Heidi, about perspectives, because I didn't say anything yet about that, and how important it is point of view, and how important it is to interpret points of view and have like a way to hold more points of view. And that's another thing that the integral theory and integral consciousness allows for, is many points of view and making sense of them all, and it's just amazing. Yeah.
It absolutely is amazing, but I think we have to learn that. It's not that it just falls from the sky. This capacity. We're already doing all these steps up in the lighthouse, what we saw before. It's always an opening into perspectives, but then it really begins to, let's say in our level, to be ever more open for other perspectives, try them on and see how other people think or feel or whatever, and then you don't have to do the same, but just be more aware what is going on in other people, what is going on in other countries too.
Yeah, yeah.
It is not anymore they are the bad guys and they are the good guys. You can understand why they do so, we would say, crazy things, but in their perspective it's not crazy at all,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's also very liberating to take part in, and to take stock, and it's the same thing. So it's the same as your own perspective matters, similar to a lower on a. I mean, the integral perspective matters quite a bit because it has different features than other levels of development, but they all matter because they all form the spiral. And Ken always says meeting people where they're at, and meeting people where they are is the most beneficial, because it creates a healthy particular kind of interaction from that particular level. And so making sense of it, understanding more, being able to navigate perspectives that are more, you could say, egoic, working with people that have that particular, what they call center of gravity, lower center of gravity, and finding a way to not be drained, finding a way to not fall into your own reactivity, and resonate where that person is. You're almost like a finely tuned instrument. And certain things go in, certain air goes into the instrument, and you play it a certain way, and it resonates at a certain, certain notes sound good, certain maybe they don't, but they're all part of the same flute.
Yeah, this is very interesting. And isn't it that we sort of automatically get into a sort of obligation to take over leadership?
Yeah, and also being able to not be a leader and to follow. So there's like a paradox, paradox, where you have your leadership tendency, and I know that for me that's the case for me, is a leadership tendency, but there's also the ability to put it into the back seat and not have it run the show, not have your leadership, because you know you're all integral, you're so evolved, you know you have the right answer. But it's also good. It's also good to let it kind of stay at your center, like your center, but really kind of not bring that. It might not always be good to have an integral situation at that moment. You might have to kind of like pay attention to the time. You might have to pay attention to the other people in the room and where they are, and the way that integral people think isn't necessarily the way others think. And so it's important to kind of put the different hats on your head, and you have this hat for this situation. And of course, that's all. I think that's a fine-tuning situation for me in my life these days. Since I moved to the mountains, you know, I have a what's the word for it? Opportunity to really practice in a whole different way. So, and because the place I work at is kind of a practicing model. I work at the Hunter School, which is here in New Hampshire, and it's in the White Mountains, which is some of the best views in America from, you know, nature views. And the idea to bring children into this natural setting, vegetarian diet, you know, egalitarian, free, you know, children are gonna experience returning to a natural setting, because they're so enwrapped in technology that it's a nice break to come to the mountains and to go to a school where you can actually work on that particular kind of dysfunction that they have. We have a lot of ADHD kids, and you know, navigating that terrain is challenging, but very rewarding. And so that's what I came to do, is to really work on deepening my practice, as well as, you know, trying to enact some of the stuff in the actual world, and learning from you know, learning from it, and really, you know, and taking it into account. Yeah.
You know, I would call that all leadership. You are a leader of yourself, and you are a leader by knowing what to do in a certain instance. You don't have to be a leader by being a missionary for Integral. This wouldn't be Integral, by the way.
Oh, that would be blue, wouldn't it?
That would be, yeah, it would be blue. So I think what you are doing is very responsible, and very much, as I would say, taking responsibility and taking this on to give your knowledge out, not necessarily by teaching theory, but by doing things which you have understood. This is the right thing in the right moment.
Well, we have had some experience with working with people at other means, shall we say, at other colors. Living here in rural Italy. When I came here a couple of years ago, I expected that there would be a strong religious influence, that there would be a big blue streak in the people, and there would be also an overlay of orange entrepreneurs and business and modernism and so forth. And those layers are here. But what I didn't expect was that red was still so alive. You know, people are not depending upon government to take care of their business. Everybody works in the black. I mean, without letting the government know what kind of money they're making or how they're making it, you know? And so this always borders on, well, what it is it's sort of a gentle form of mafia. You know, where you just have agreements with people.
Mark, a gentle mafia is better than a aggressive mafia, right?
Yes, you know. Unfortunately, that's here too, also. And that's very unfortunate. But just a kind of relationship with authority that is, well, what do you have to know anything about me for? You know, I'm doing fine here, and I'm not offering any information. You know,
and the authority is almost the same. You know, they
That's
are
right.
dictating things without telling you, and trying to be blue, but a strange way of blue. Anyway, let's wrap up. We are at the time which we have
okay.
planned for this hangout. We can do others.
I would love to.
How did Integral change your life? And I would like for everybody of us to say a final word for that. Let's begin with Mark. He didn't say so much because I always come and be in the focus.
Well, I've learned with Integral to keep my mouth shut sometimes. No. What has Integral done to me? Well, in a nutshell, this will say a huge thing. I voted for Bush twice. Okay?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. That sets people back when I say that. But I mean, that's just the distance that I've come in the past, 9 years, really, you know?
Yeah.
It's huge. And the completely different worldview that I inhabit now, and the way that I look at what my neighbors are doing, what the politicians are doing, you know, what media is up to, so it's completely different now, you know? And also, what kind of relationship I can have with.
Yes.
Here, you know, what would it have been without Integral? It wouldn't. It just wouldn't have been.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, unfortunately, we are a little older, and also me. It is 20 years. I was 40 more or less when I entered into Integral, while Mark was a little later. But it has changed my life, and I'm really, really, very thankful for that. That I got oriented. I could understand what my life was before, how it developed, and that it really was a constant line of development. And I could more or less understand where I was at that moment and where I needed to go. So I had a direction, and this was so, so helpful. And I had the feeling I have understood the world. I cannot change the world in the sense that now I have understood it, now I go to work on it, but I can do what I can do. And one of the things I do is, for instance, now these transmissions. So I'm really very grateful. But at the same time, I'm happy that young people now are able to do this development so much earlier, and they have so much time in their life to really do
to flower
and to create the change. This is thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you, you young people. Thank you, Scott.
Shout out to all the young people. Yeah. That's beautiful, guys. Thank you for sharing that. I'll share, what can I say? Final word. It is about clarity and emotional maturity and clarity, and that's what it's been about for me, is spiritual clarity because spirit is expressed through us in all kinds of ways, and for that to be allowed to move through cleaner and more open, and in greater number of perspectives, and in greater capacity to love, and it's meant the world to me, and then to put it out into the world, that is a gift, and I'm just really grateful to be a part of this call and to share this time with you guys, and this is wonderful. It's wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah. I would like to add a little bit to what I find out, that many people in Integral are developed very highly spiritually and cognitively, with the intellectual line, and that often the emotional line is a little bit back.
What do you mean?
And so I mostly with my work, I'm dedicated to sort of re-educate the emotional line, to create emotional intelligence. And who wants to find out a little bit more of our work, it's the powerofrelationship.com. where we offer retreats in our house, for instance. And also, I do private coaching exactly about the emotional component. And we will have in Connections, our show, Thursday in a week, we will have emotion and practices about creating more emotional intelligence. So if the listener, the watcher, is staying tuned, we are happy to see you there.
Oh,
and
what about our retreat?
The retreat is in September, and we would be happy to find it on the website. Where can they find you?
You can find me. I have a blog that I started. It's scottmarshallart. What is it? Org? I forget. At blogspot.com. I'm also on Facebook, Scott Marshall. You can connect to me there. I'm on Google Plus at Scott Marshall. You can connect to me through this call. And I'm just kind of getting myself out there in a certain sense, where I'm making artwork and putting it on the social media, and I see that as my way of disseminating that particular wavelength. So from my particular point of view, and I've been feeling fantastic about it. So.
And I loved your colors, and I'm happy that you will contribute to our future show and the Wisdom Factory with your colors. This Wisdom Factory will begin in September, and we invite people who have notable experience and knowledge and wisdom to talk about their way, like we did today with Scott. And we are really convinced that our world needs the leadership of wise people, and this will be a platform to connect people who have something to say in the world and have something to do in the world to create it a better place. So please stay tuned in on G+ and on Facebook, and visit our website, as I said before, thepowerofrelationship.com, for forthcoming informations. And thank you, Scott. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Heidi. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you to everybody who has watched or will watch in the future on the replay. And please engage with us, connect with us, leave your comments, and we will come back and engage with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You bet.
Thank you, and bye-bye.
Lots of love. Bye-bye.
Bye.